What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Mike Goolsby live on YouTube for this week's Mike Goolsby Show. Hope everyone is doing well and enjoying a victory Sunday for the Fighting Irish after a wild 21-14 victory over Duke. Of course, folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video if you have not done so yet, and subscribe to our channel. And if you're listening via podcast, please leave us a kind review if you do enjoy the show. I guess, Mike, let's just dive right into it if that's okay with you.
Of
I'm
course.
not going to ask you how your day is. I don't care about you. I just want to know about your thoughts about the game.
That's it, man. Hey, right back at you, Singer. You son of a bitch. So here's the thing. Like you said, we're celebrating this victory coming off of last night. And going back to like the liking and subscribing real quick, I think we hit a record last week, 26,000 for the Sunday night show.
It's pretty sick.
It's remarkable. And thanks to, the audience for giving us a shot. And we try. So this episode, Singer, I've got some questions for you, my brother in podcasting, and some questions for, the viewing audience. So drop a comment because I do read those. I know Tim Hyde does as well. So I'd like some feedback just from this, Notre Dame Nation. Question number one is, Singer, Notre Dame fans, are we getting better, Singer? Or are we getting worse? Are we getting better? Or are we getting worse? The way that this season's set up, we had 4 cupcakes, 3.5, 3 cupcakes, Tim Hyde calling them scrimmages. We basically had scrimmages leading up to Ohio State. Ohio State is who they are. I mean, they're not, 05 USC. They're not like a juggernaut in the current state of the program. And the narrative coming out of like those first 4 games, this is, again, the pre-Ohio State, is like, gosh, this is what an offense is supposed to look like, right? Remember all that? It's like, this is what a real quarterback looks like. This is what real execution, what real operation, what real football looks like, the crispness of it, etc. And coming out of this Duke game, granted, hell yeah, we won, and there's still things to get cleaned up. Coach Freeman's talking about cleaning things up, and it's just like, well, geez, wasn't that the purpose of scheduling this season the way that they did? And that you're peaking going into Ohio State. There's obviously it's an emotional roller coaster. You got young men, you're trying to get up and keep up. It's that sustained energy, sustained discipline. But this was like a fun game, like super fun, down to the wire nail biter. But like coming out of it, and you look at this next 2-3 weeks slate of games, and it's like, boy, are we getting better? Are we getting worse? In terms of like the penalties, the tackling. And my only other like thought in terms of like an opener, creating some fodder for conversation, Singer. As a Notre Dame fan, as a player alum myself, I love Marcus Freeman, and I'm committed to Marcus Freeman because we are clearly still watching him and his offensive coordinator, who's never called plays before. Let's not forget. We're watching both of these young-ish coaches learn on the fly. So you got to kind of make your mind up as a Notre Dame fan. The way I see it, it's like, am I riding with Freeman or not? Because we're still kind of seeing these bumps in the road. The post-game press conference about, we wanted to kick the ball to win the game. It's like, have you not seen our kicker? So there's stuff like that where it's like he's still learning on the job, and I'm going to choose to have empathy for him. But the way that this schedule set up, some of these things that we're still trying to clean up ought to have been ironed out at this point.
Okay. To answer your question, I like JP's comment here. Competition's getting better. Notre Dame's flaws are getting exposed. So I don't know if it's a getting better, getting worse. I think it's just they are who they are. The offense has no identity. Dude, what's the offensive identity? Like it's a
trip. It's a trip.
It's balanced, but like it's inconsistent. And then the defense continues to be very strange. Going back to the Ohio State game, it's like, oh, huh. was it how many was it 17-14 was the Ohio State game? Was it?
Sure.
Whatever it was. I can't even remember. It's like, oh, 17 points. Oh, but the defense still didn't feel great.
Yeah.
17-14. Yeah, and then 14 against Duke, but it didn't feel like the defense did great at all. But then the points are what the points are, so
yeah, I mean, I had a coach, obviously Bob Davie recruited me, former head coach at Notre Dame, and he used to always use the term oozing with his fake Texas accent, right? Because he's from Pittsburgh, but he had a Texas accent. But it'd be like, we're out here oozing around, just kind of going through the motions was kind of like, and sometimes that's kind of what it feels like. This game was a little bit different because you did have guys step up. Obviously, Hartman made a play. Estime made a play. Howard Cross made several plays. Xavier Watt stepped up. Obviously, Mitch Evans made some plays. It's nice to see your studs kind of coming to the forefront. But overall, and this is as a fan base where we got to ask Coach Parker, like, dude, what we just watched last night, is this why we brought Sam Hartman here? Yes or no? Like, this isn't what people signed up for. This isn't what those first 4 weeks, kind of that bill of goods that we sold, it's kind of shifted recently. And I don't like it. I don't like it. We don't look like a championship team in the way that we did against a Tennessee State.
Yeah. What'd you make of Hartman's performance? 15 to 30, 222, and the 3 big rushing yards.
Well, I wasn't impressed. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks. I mean, and I've always said, I don't think Sam Hartman is going to take many arrows. And obviously he made the play at the end on the 4th and 16. So he can, he's like in the Matrix, Mike, you watching me, kind of dodging these arrows because he made that play. But no, he didn't play well. And we've said since before the season kicked off, if you don't protect him, he's going to struggle. And, pass protection struggled, the offensive line struggled. This is kind of what I'm saying. And that, and I know we didn't have our full arsenal of weapons, but it's like, dude, if you, again, muted the game and if you muted the game last night, you don't hear any commentary. We don't have names in the back of our jersey singer. And I told you that was Drew Pine with a better beard and that Michael Mayer changed his jersey number. You might think that was 2022 Notre Dame football. And we all remember how painful that was to kind of slog through. That looked like Drew Pine with a better beard, and Michael Mayer changed his jersey number. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
So the performance was rough. I don't put it all on Sam. The offensive line was bad, but at the end of the day, you did not bring Sam Hartman here to do what we've done offensively the last 2 games.
Yeah. I get you, but I think you're, dude. I don't like the Hartman take, Mike. I just don't like
he played well.
I don't think anyone on the offense played particularly well. I mean, Estime kind of played.
Well, Mitchell Evans did. Mitchell Evans did.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Mitchell Evans was an absolute freak. But like so much with Estime, I talk about in this postgame shows. Like Estime gets the ball, gets hit behind the line. It's like, what the hell do you want him to do? Just bounce off 3 tacklers every time he gets the ball. Like Hartman's when there's cover 0, Hartman's got no time, and the receivers can't get open. Like, what? I mean, what the hell is he supposed to do?
I don't know. What the hell were any of our previous quarterbacks supposed to do? I mean, it's a problem, but he's here to fix it. He's got all this experience, whatever else. So, I mean, there was opportunities to make throws last night, and he missed several.
He did miss throws.
And and again, he was under duress like previous quarterbacks we've had. He was under duress, and dude, he threw up like 4 to 6 passes. I rewatched the game before coming on tonight. Like his last 2 passes before his 4th and 16 run easily could have been intercepted. Easily could have been intercepted. He had the one to Tyree over the middle. I'm just saying, dude. I thought he battled and all that, but like terms like, oh, he battled, he's a warrior, all this stuff. It's just like, no, we brought him here to execute. and to elevate the level of the quarterback play. And last night you didn't see it. For whatever reason, you didn't see it. It's true, Mike. We were 3 for 15 on third down on money downs. And the ones that we did convert, flashback to 2022, we're just throwing it to Michael Mayer, a.k.a. Mitch Evans. So I'm not taking anything away from the win or whatever, but coming out of this, I'm like thrilled that we won. It was fun. But I do question, are we getting better? Or are we getting worse? You know, because like the stat line and all that's like, it's kind of like declined. And then you've got another big game to get up for on the road against an undefeated Louisville team. It's going to be tough, man. We already had the players meeting. Sam Hartman called the players meeting. What do we do, Mike?
What answers do you have, Mike?
Well, the offense needs to like adjust. The offense needs to adjust. Like what you're talking about, like when you look at Estime, it's just like he gets the handoff and he kind of gets banged around. He tends to fall forward, you know, and he's made some like miraculous runs where he's, you know, jumping outside of gaps, and the offense has to adjust. I think you got to nail down. We've been talking about this for 2 years now, like the running back rotation, who's doing what, who's, you know, what 2 hats are you asking Love to wear? What 2 hats you are asking Estime to wear? Like all 5 running backs can't wear multiple hats this far into the season. And then you got to find some sort of a playmaker. Like you just have to.
I don't know I don't know what they're going to do there.
I don't know, but that's the crazy thing is because all offseason it was like, man, this wide receiver room is so deep and they're so talented, you know. And some people like myself and Coach Tim Hyde were like, you know, slow your roll, and it's like, well, Sam's gonna just cut him up, man. He's just gonna torch everybody, and Mike, it's just like, yeah.
What you said during the offseason was, if you give Sam Hartman time, he's going to dice you up.
Yep.
If he doesn't, he's going to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing. So
maybe it starts with the offensive line. Is that what we're saying? Pass pro.
It's almost like we're saying it's a full team game. Like everyone's going to do their effing job.
Football is that. Yeah. You know? Yeah. You know? But that's that's my opening statement. Are we, and we're not going to make this about a Hartman conversation as much as I'm going to try to make it so. But it is a team game, and I'm like, are we getting better? Are we getting worse? So again, like the execution, the operation, the penalties, the tackling, the special teams, like, and again, it's like, so at some point, and again, Freeman hasn't taken an arrow yet. I mean, I don't think he took as many arrows as he should have for the Ohio State kind of collapse at the end there. But it's like, dude, some of this stuff's starting to kind of creep up, and it's a little concerning.
Yeah.
Because it looked so good coming out of that first 4 games. I mean, we were humming.
Yeah. Which we always said, like, listen, what Notre Dame is doing is what they should be doing against inferior opponents, and it's like it looks really exciting. This is something we haven't seen before against some of those lesser opponents. But we all knew, like, there's the caveat of Ohio State's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And then Duke is coming. When we saw Duke beat Clemson, like, oh, Duke's a real team too. So yeah, I think it's still, like, in hindsight, it was okay to be excited about what we saw then, and still be like, yeah, Ohio State's gonna be a different animal. But
yeah, it's when you asked me the question about, and I was, you know, arguing with a buddy via text who happened to play quarterback in college. And he's like, yeah, Hartman's got an edge. And I'm like, dude, I get it. Like, and Hartman is impossible not to like. And he plays hard, and he won us the game. But it's like, we didn't bring him here to be in that position to begin with, where he has to pick up a 4th and 16 on his legs. So he's a little bit like enigmatic to me at this point. It's like, did he make a play, or did he play like trash? And that, like, we had to pick up a 4th and 16 to win the game. Like, he still gets credit, but on one hand, we didn't bring you here to be in this position to begin with.
That's. Yeah, I brought him here to beat Ohio State, and that didn't happen. You got to pick it up and go beat Duke. I mean, I don't know. I hear you.
It's just something to keep to pay attention to. And like I said, I mean, we're all, as a fan base, if we're going to commit to Coach Freeman, we're not there yet. As much as you, Singer, thought that this was a championship team, I'm going to argue, as I did back then, that it's not. And we're going to stick with Freeman, and because again, he is learning on the fly, as we all would be if we were, thrust into being a head coach at Notre Dame.
So let's hear from our sponsors over at Irish Realty. It's your ticket to football weekend enjoyment as it presents the Eddy Square townhomes. These 3, 4, and 5 bedroom townhomes offer everything the Notre Dame football fan could want. 30 renovated and refurbished townhomes have the location you want with the gathering space to kick back and enjoy your weekend at South Bend. And Eddy Square townhomes are now available for purchase and affordably priced, starting at $349,900. So stop by and visit the new model just off Eddy Street. That's close to campus, the East Race in downtown South Bend. Check out Eddy Square townhomes at irishrealty.net. Folks, just so you know, we'll be getting to Super Chats at 7:45. So basically, Goolsby and I are going to talk for the next half hour about some things that we had previously discussed that we wanted to break down in today's show. And then we're going to spend, from 7:45 on to how many Super Chats come in to kind of wrap up today's show. So that is the Super Chat plan for today. So I've said that. I've got it pinned. I've got it on the screen right now. I keep typing it into chat. So that's kind of the Super Chat plan there, folks. So Mike, let's talk about penalties. This is a very concerning trend here. What the hell is going on? 12 penalties for 70. You got Zeke Correll 2 or 3 times on a false start. Guys just lining up off sides, like jumping off sides. I get it. Lining up off sides as a corner. You just point to the ref and you ask him, "Hey, am I good? What is going on? What are your thoughts here? What do you think from the player angle side of this?"
I think the lazy excuse is, you're a little hungover from like the Ohio State game, but that's why I always said like it's nice to go on the road. And ironically, it gets you more dialed in, being in hostile territory. That's my experience. That wasn't the case last night. But yeah, it was bonkers, dude. It was bonkers. You got, I think Zeke was offsides twice in one series. And, the series, I'm trying not to butt heads with you in regards to because I tend to be a little bit more realistic and you tend to be more, puppy dogs and rainbows.
Oh, gosh. I would call you pessimistic than realistic, but a little bit of both. Go ahead.
That's fair. It's why this.
All right, butt heads with me. Go ahead. I don't know.
I'm just sitting there going it's like, dude, again, this is Duke and they're good. It's like they're good. Like they've got a quality quarterback. They've got quality athletes. They got their D linemen look like I wish our D linemen looked. Those big, thick dudes in the middle of the defense. Like they got,
including the former D lineman from Notre Dame on there. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, number 5, correct?
Yeah.
Frankly. They had a number 5 that could play. Us, it's TBD, to be determined. I had an ex-teammate real quick. This is so funny. Joe Brockington. He's a linebacker. And Joe might have been a captain too. I don't recall. Forgive me, Joe. But Joe was like, please mention on the podcast and talking about Tobias. And we'll get there, obviously. If we don't, you and I will get there with Super Chats. But he's like, please mention on the podcast and tell Notre Dame fans, you don't get to wear a single digit unless you're like a baller. That's just, you agree, Mike. That's just kind of football, one of those footballisms.
Yep.
And he was kind of sniping at Tobias there via that text. But going back to my initial thought, the first drive of the game, we scored a touchdown, yet we needed a fake punt to score. And then we didn't score forever. We didn't, and granted there was missed, and then the second one where we got a field goal, that was off of Xavier Watts' interception.
Yeah. Notre Dame had -4 yards on that drive,
Yeah, man. So it's just again, this isn't what we brought Sam here to do. They've got to get it sorted out.
You keep saying that, but what's the okay, this isn't what Sam I'm guessing take it deeper. What's your point there? Is there something that he should do differently? Or are you saying that he's not what we thought he would be? I'm just trying to understand your point on this is not what we brought Sam here for.
Well, he's not gonna go to New York, Singer. Hate to break it to you. And that was it was you were sold these wide receivers are elite. It's the most talented wide receiver room we've had in some time. We were told that.
Not saying a whole lot, but yeah.
We were told that, yes or yes. About the wide receiver room. We're not talking about the quarterback.
Sure, I mean, this receiver room's been bad since Claypool left.
Mm-hmm.
It's not been very good.
Well, this year was different. I mean, this year was different.
I always hope.
Yeah, but it's just so I guess what I'm saying is this isn't what Sam here was brought here to be. What we saw as Notre Dame fans the first 4 weeks, that's what Sam was brought here to do, to look like. That's what this offense was supposed to look like. You know, and NC State was a quality-ish opponent. Like, I know they've got a good defense, but like also it's NC State. You know, Ohio State, Duke, Louisville, USC, like, you know, the talent level is getting ratcheted up. And I just feel like that the performance has sloughed off of it shifted from the hype of the offseason and then the performance of the first 4 weeks. And it's not that it's fallen off a cliff, but it's like, dude, it's fallen off a really steep hill.
Yeah, I mean, it's to be expected when you're playing against a lot better teams.
Is it though? That's what we're talking about. Is it though? Is it though? Is it to be expected? Where it's like, okay, you're throwing for 350 and now we're going to throw for 170 against Duke and no touchdowns? I guess he did. No, he threw a 2-point conversion.
222, but yeah.
But you get what I'm saying. And go 3 for 15.
The offense was bad last night, but
yeah. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, he's the face of the offense. He was the Heisman candidate. He's the NIL guy. It's inarguable. That's what he was brought here to do, was to make the offense, to elevate the offense. In the last 2 games, the offense hasn't performed well. So it's like Parker's going to take some blame. You know, game plan needs to adjust. But this isn't what we brought Sam here to do, and it's worrisome. And I like Sam. I mean, I really struggled watching him. Like, dude, he made some plays getting away from pressure. He's fun to watch. And he's yet to turn the ball over. But I'm like, damn, man, this isn't what he's supposed to win the Heisman. He's supposed to be in New York. You know, we're a national championship team.
Anything else on the penalties, Mike?
Oh, God.
Because I don't even remember if we got there or not.
Of course not, dude. You asked me a question, I'm going to go all over the place. It's unacceptable. The lazy excuse is it's a hangover from a big primetime matchup loss to Ohio State.
It's a terrible excuse.
It's a lazy excuse. That's what I said. But It's just but that goes back to like some of that's on, Freeman, dude, and like the coordinators and getting guys ready and dialed into play. But we've talked, this is another one of those things where it's like we need to call this the Broken Record Podcast, because we've been talking about this stuff, you and I, Mike Singer, for a couple, 2-3 years now. What falls in? Does Al Golden need to teach Cam Hart not to line up off sides at corner? No. So how much of this, and that's a senior captain, dumb stuff. They're not even aggressive penalties. You could kind of start to kind of talk about the officiating, Mike, which is a hot button issue last few games, these ACC officials. I mean, and I try to stay away from it because it's just a part of the sport, but like that whole punt call where they reviewed a non-reviewable play. What are you doing?
And then Duke goes and scores a touchdown, dude.
Like they're either breaking the rules or they're making up rules that don't exist. It's just like, it's like playing sports with your sister growing up. They're, making up the rules as they go along or something. You know what I'm saying? So that's frustrating.
Yeah. What do you think about targeting? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Mike. Yeah. The targeting call on Botello, and I like Botello, always have. I feel bad for him, but you gotta call that play. And I mean, people have been paralyzed for less. That's the rules are in place for a reason. I can't agree with you anymore, Mike, in terms of your flagrant 1, flagrant 2. It's a brilliant idea, and it's an obvious idea. But no, you got to call that flag. I mean, by the letter of the law, you're leading with the crown of your helmet. It's there to protect the person that's getting clobbered and the person that's delivering the hit. I mean, hits like that where that neck kind of just like condenses, like not good. That's how people get hurt. And Jordan could have hurt himself there. Real talk. But only other 2 action items on the offense. Your offensive line did not play well. It's in particular in pass pro. I never worry about when they're saying, Zeke Correll's moving people in the run game now, or, Rocco's moving people in the run game, like Tim likes to talk about that. Oh, man, he collapsed. I don't really care about the run game. At this point, I just assume that Notre Dame's offensive linemen are talented enough and like competent enough to move some people in the run game, especially like a Duke. Or Central Michigan. I'm always more concerned about pass pro. Because if they let up or they slip up, it's much more devastating to get a sack or something than it is to get a 1 yard gain as opposed to a 6. So interior offensive linemen got their asses kicked. I love Mitch Evans. Loved him since high school. Singer, I can remember doing his kind of prospect breakdown.
Yep.
I love Mitch Evans. His hands, doesn't have the best body out there. He's like a longer version of Michael Mayer. I don't know if he's going to beat – I don't know what he's going to run his 40 in or anything like that. But he's just so relaxed, dude. His body language out there, he's so relaxed, and his hands are sick.
Yeah.
Sam threw a bad ball. He reached back and caught him. He's made 2 miraculous catches 2 weeks in a row. But I just love the way that he carries himself. And I'm even thinking, like, if I'm Coach Parker, like, I might have Tobias spend a little bit of time with Mitch. Like, the way – Mitch kind of carries himself and the way he plays that game, he's so at ease out there and confident. I think that you'd love to see some of that rub off on a Tobias.
Mike, I need to address the YouTube chat. Guys, take a deep breath. If you feel, and I'm with you that, like, listen, Notre Dame just won the game. I'm going to be more happy about Notre Dame losing because I'm thinking in my brain, what would this show be like if Notre Dame lost and what my weekend would be like. Like, I get it. But just calm yourself. Also like and subscribe like my boy Kev says. But, like, just listen to Goolsby. You can disagree with him. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff he says. Well, maybe not a lot. Some of the stuff he says. But, let's just listen. Let's just take it in. And let's just move on.
But what's the general consensus, Mike? I never read the chat.
On edge. Like, how dare you say? Just like everyone, just take a deep breath. Just listen to the man, and just take it as a data point. Like, just calm down.
It's just we're being objective. We're being objective. We barely beat Duke. We beat Duke in a last second quarterback scramble. Yes. Not ideal, dude. Does the chat agree with that? It's not ideal.
It's not ideal. It's definitely not. Yeah. Yeah, you're giving your objective take for sure. Yeah, you're giving your takes. Yeah.
I mean, we went 3 for 15 on third down. And I think, Sam had 150 something yards going into like the fourth quarter with no touchdowns.
Not great.
And he made a play. But this isn't the offense we saw the first 4 weeks. And it's okay to call that out.
Yeah. I don't think it's like oh, wow, Notre Dame's offense isn't looking as good against Ohio State and on the road at Duke as against Tennessee State and Central Michigan. But it's still true. It's not where I would land, but it's still true. It's where you're going, but to me, it's like, yeah, I mean, Duke that was a really good defense, Mike. That was a pretty good defense. And Notre Dame came in crippled with 3 healthy receivers. And if you had to pick 3 receivers, that would not have been the 3 healthy guys I would have gone with.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Off of the Ohio State game, I'm just happy as hell they got the win.
Absolutely.
That's
absolutely. But I mean, as a fan base, and like, again, I mean, Mike, championship lens, chat.
It's not good. If you look at it through a championship lens, nothing is good right now.
Forgive me for looking at this through a championship lens. Those coaches on the flight back, today, they're in the building. They're doing the same thing. They're critiquing the team.
Yeah.
That's it. We're looking at this through a championship lens.
There's a lot to critique for sure. But yeah, I'm just happy as hell they got the win.
Absolutely.
Mike, let's hear from one more sponsor. and it's certainly a favorite. It is a Home Field Apparel based out of Indianapolis, and they have some officially licensed clothing that is also comfortable, if I might add. And one of the great things about Home Field is their designs, particularly their Notre Dame designs. We need to get Goolsby in this Sam Hartman Victory March tee. I know so Home Field went back into the archive, the old school Notre Dame designs, and have created some unique and thoughtful stuff. So they have actually licenses over 150 colleges, so you can order a college shirt for anyone. I mean, you guys can go to homefieldapparel.com. You go up to schools. I mean, you can see all of the different schools that they, have shirts for. So get yourself some Notre Dame gear, and then, get something for, if you haven't, more Notre Dame fans in your family or friends or, other schools that they're fans of, just go ahead and get it in one big order. And when you do place that order, use promo code BlueGold23. You'll get 15% off your first order with Home Field. It's a site that's easy to shop to find that perfect college football gear to complete your game day outfit. So be prepared for the fall by shopping today at homefieldapparel.com. And again, use that promo code BlueGold23 and receive 15% off your first purchase. Singer is working on getting the good old tennis crew neck as well, and I will rock it on this show as soon as I get it. And hopefully next week we got Goolsby rocking one as well. Maybe not just rocking a Home Field shirt. So I'll have my people talk to your people, Ghouls.
I just scanned through the chat. I think that's normal, man. I just real quick scanned it, Mike.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I'm just saying, I know we're down receivers. And I mean, I was texting you guys about that, when I was leaving the Husker game. It's brutal. I mean, I don't know where Braylon James is. To Tim's point, like, how difficult can it be just to say, you got a 9 route, go in, you got your 9 route. I can't wait till we get to the end of the season where he can log his 4 games and still retain that red shirt. But there's no play action on offense to help people get loose. We had a bunch of drop balls. We had some errant, throws. He was inaccurate because he was on the run. It all starts kind of with that offensive line production, but I'm just, I'm just concerned. Like, we won't beat USC, Mike. And I think you predicted that was your preseason loss, right? Was to
and people said I can't look at Notre Dame ever again for saying that Notre Dame just doesn't lose to USC. But I mean,
I respected that take. I thought that was
you did. Yeah.
I thought that was a great take. And it's like, folks, how many points did we score last night, Mike? 21?
Barely. Yeah.
I mean, we won't even hang with USC if we're only capable of putting up 21 points on the board.
Yeah. USC's defense looks pretty whack though. So Notre Dame's at home. I am feeling a little bit better about that one than I was before.
Same. I love the fact that we're at home. I mean, I've told you that when you're playing at the Coliseum, that it's just the speed of the SC players, but the field feels longer and it feels wider. It's tough to explain without having been out there. But yeah, the fact that we're playing at home is a huge advantage. Nevertheless, they're gonna put some points up.
Yeah.
They just are.
And what do you think Notre Dame needs to score to give themselves a chance? Like at least 35?
It depends on. Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
All right,
Mike. I don't know if we're gonna. I mean, our turnovers on defense have been inconsistent up to this point, so it's like you can't really rely on a pick or two. I mean, Caleb Williams just threw his first pick last night of the season, but yeah, you're gonna have to figure out a way to get 35 points on the board.
Yeah, Mike. Let me ask you this: What did you like about the game last night? Some of the biggest positives. Defensively, I'm sure you got to like Howard Cross. John Baptiste played a good game.
Yeah.
Your boy Watts had a pick. Nice little game for him. What did you like on Saturday night?
The biggest takeaway was just like kind of like what we. And you have to understand how, like, I fully acknowledge how lame it sounds to be like as an analyst or whatever, to be like players got to make plays. It's lame. I get it. But I'm not going to pretend that I know X's and O's better than an offensive coordinator who spends 10 hours a day in the film room, right? Sure. But players needed to step up and make plays. DJ Brown had an opportunity at the end of that game to ice it. He didn't make the play. I mean, we didn't pick up a few 4th downs. There's a lot of little opportunities for people to make plays in that game. We didn't. This game, we did. Howard Cross, Xavier Watts, Mitch Evans, even Estime at the end. Even though Coach Freeman said he wanted to kick a field goal at the end to win, which is very perplexing. But Estime made a big play, and obviously Sam Hartman made a big play. So that was the thing that I liked. The things that concern me, it still is like we give up kind of chunk plays in the run game. And maybe I'm just too old school, brother, but like I'm not a fan of that. Like a 20+ yard run, it's just, gosh, like we get gashed so often. And then defensively, I guess too, is a plus. Like we got home. We actually got home on our pressures. I think Cross had a sack. I mean, we got to the quarterback, which was nice. And we've been kind of waiting on that. And that's like that, talking about Hartman being a little bit of an enigma for me. Like defensively, we made some plays. And up to this point, it's like we're blitzing everybody, but we don't really actually get there. So that was a positive.
I want to make a comment for people listening. And Goolsby, I texted you real quick if you can take a peek at that. Goolsby's chair is squeaky. That's all it is. Okay. That's all it is. Okay. But yeah, Howard Cross
says, try not to lean forward. The mic on your neck, it muffles the sound.
Yeah, if
I'll
you kind of like if you do this number, like that's all. But yeah, Howard Cross 13 tackles, 3 of them solo, a sack, 3.5 TFLs, quarterback carry, 2 forced fumbles.
Incredible.
Got the cover of the Blue and Gold Illustrated magazine.
Good for him.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that the last forced fumble, when Leonard got hurt, gosh, hope he's okay. It actually seems like he's going to be, he's going to be back later this season. Seems like it's an ankle thing, so it shouldn't be too bad for him. Fingers crossed there. But that was Notre Dame's first fumble recovery, and that was the 10th forced fumble of the season, if I remember the stat correctly. So that's kind of bizarre. But
no, you nailed it. That's the stat. Yeah, I think I heard that elsewhere. Maybe they said so during the broadcast. Yeah, and Howard Cross, like, dude, good for him. And he's played well all year, but like I personally, and I'm watching the linebackers, let's be honest, you know what I'm saying? But he didn't really jump out to me till I watched the Ohio State game back. And I'm like, dude, he's in on like every play. And like going into the season, he's a little underweight, in terms of like he's less than ideal. He's not 300 pounds. And Howard Cross was almost a player of concern during the offseason. And he's turned into a strength.
Yeah.
He's turned into an absolute dog out there. And it's nice to hear him get some credit, because those interior defensive linemen, he reminds me so much. And Tim Hyde loves this guy. Derek Landry is a guy that I played with. Might have been a 5th or 6th round pick, 6'1", 280, played for the Panthers. I played for like 8 years in the league as an undersized defensive tackle. Howard Cross very much reminds me of him. Probably better.
What'd you think about Marist? 6 tackles, half sack, 3 solos.
Dude, he's like, I'll say this. My girlfriend, before I get to Marist, my girlfriend, bless her heart, can't tell you how much football she's watched with me over the years. But she's like, who's 27? And she goes, what did she say? She's like, he looks like he's out there because they don't have anybody else, is what she said,
Damn.
And I'm not like breaking down film with her, but it's just like, she's like, who's 27? He looks like he's out there because they don't have anybody else. And I was like, okay, noted. But Marist, he looks good flying around. I've always said it. I'll say it again. Yeah. Marist is great in pursuit. He will run the ball down. He's like a cheetah, dude. He will run the ball down. He'll flash. He looked better on his blitzes, but it's like things that come at him, he can't figure it out. He does not diagnose downhill, but when he runs and hits, he looks amazing.
So I said this last night. I think I did, where you got Hyde's over here on Marist and you're over here. Mm-hmm. And I love being in the middle of
you sure do
of you guys of y'all's takes. I saved that sentence there. I'm with you now, Goolsby.
It was that last missed tackle
when I text you, I'm like, oh, he had a free tackle at the running back who, like, the running back's carrying the ball, and to his right, it's offensive lineman. So it's not like the running back can go anywhere. He can only go forward. You know exactly where he's going. He just totally whiffs a tackle on him. Maris,
And he just fell down and just like somehow didn't even get a shoelace.
like you have said, looks the part, will play in the NFL, can make some really nice plays. When it is you go from A to B, see ball, get ball, dude, Maris is as good as it gets. But when it comes to like diagnosing and like it just doesn't seem to click for him.
It's a lot of float. He floats. It's like, so if it's a down block, and you get a counter step and the back steps to you, like, you take a read step and you fit, like he can't do it. But if it's just toss away, he's a cheetah. He's amazing. But yeah, anything at him. And like I said, I mean, he was in the backfield a lot. I just wish he would, like, you seen Forrest Gump, Mike?
Yes.
What year were you born?
93.
Okay, came out in 94, I think.
Okay, Goolsby. Yes, I've seen.
But
dang it, I'm not supposed to answer that question anymore. But yes, I've seen Forrest Gump.
There's a scene in the movie where like young Forrest has those poor leg braces on, the poor kid, and the bullies are chasing him or whatever, and he starts to run. Like when Maris goes to tackle, it's like he has those leg braces on. Like he will never like tackle a guy and bring him to the ground. He's always like slinging people down. It's like, Maris, drop your weight and bend your knees. It's just very peculiar how he plays. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I watched your show with Tim last night, and you being your Christian self, you were just like, Marist is Marist at this point.
It's true. It is like,
yeah,
he just is what he is.
Oh, it doesn't get me worked up like it did last year. You're like, Marist is Marist, and you love him, and I'm glad we have him, but he is frustrating at times. No, there's no doubt about it.
He is.
Yeah.
And if I'm getting frustrated, because I don't get frustrated by a whole lot.
And I see it again. I do see Tim's perspective as a coach, but Tim may watch the game. These are just X's and O's on a whiteboard, like he doesn't think of it like you're doing anything beyond where it's like you're going to get off of that fit and go make a play, right? So I see Tim's perspective as well.
Goolsby, do you have anything else before we get into Super Chats? If not, I got a question for you.
Go away. Yeah, fire away. Sorry.
You watch Colin Cowherd and he like has his takes, and then I'll have people on his show and he's like, this is what I think. Do you agree with me or am I crazy? That's kind of where I'm going right here.
I gotcha.
My take on Spencer Schrader is that I will never be mad at kickers, because kind of like with Maris, dude, kickers are kickers. They're going to make kicks. They're going to miss kicks. It's on you. If you're putting yourself into the position where you need a kicker to get you points, like that's just a lottery. Like offense, you should be scoring points, or setting it up for a much easier kick. Like if you're asking your kicker to kick 40 plus yards, like I'm not getting up too upset with him, because your offense should be scoring points and get into the end zone, or at least the red zone.
So you, Mike, just to be clear, you used the term lottery. Did you mean luxury?
No, it's a lottery. It's like throw something on the dartboard and hope you get something good. Like.
So you're saying, I'll be Joel Klatt right here. So you're saying, Colin, that you think you shouldn't depend on a kicker. Like you should score a touchdown, and a kicker is like a roll of the dice, or it could be like to have a dependable kicker would be a luxury.
I do agree with that. Yes.
Okay. We're not. A field goal isn't the goal, but right. It's football. It's life. Like sometimes things don't go according to plan, and he's your plan B. So what we're saying is we don't even really have a plan B.
Well, he can make some. It's just he's pretty inaccurate. But my thing is that I don't want us to get upset. Like I'm not gonna yell at Spencer Schrader unless he's missing. If he's missing like 40 and in, like I think you can be upset at a kicker, and I think he did miss 40 and in. But otherwise, like you should be upset at the offense for needing the kicker. That's my take. I think
I would agree. I would agree, and I would totally. I agree, Mike. Okay. You and I agree a lot more often than you'd think. I agree. But Duke's kicker, how many did he miss? 2.
Well, he missed a 25-yarder. Yeah.
Yeah, Todd. His name was Todd something. I was like, poor Todd, man. I'm watching the game. Todd Polino or something like that.
Schrader was good from 35 and 45, missed from 37. And Mr. Polino missed from 38 and 25.
Yeah. Todd. But that game could have shook out a lot differently had Duke made those kicks.
Yeah.
But yeah, the offense has got to get better. I'm sitting there going too, and this is me, just keeping it real about Sam. Like, can Sam handle an audible? Can we audible? And folks, I mean, during the game, I'm talking, I've got ex-teammates that are high school football coaches. I've got ex-teammates of the NFL. Like, we're all talking on a text chain. It's like, these aren't your average Joe Blows, right? And like one of my buddies coaches football down in Florida. And he's just like, Gerard Parker is like running into loaded boxes. And when they give us coverage, like he's doing the opposite or the inverse of what he ought to be doing. He's like, this isn't that complicated. And it's like that brings to mind, can Sam handle an audible? Send him into the huddle with 2 plays or something. And based off of the look, he's going to check to this or that. Again, he's 25 years old at this point, pays less to, rent a car than the rest of the team does, But and then the only other thought I had about the offense, and this goes way back into talking about Freeman and Parker kind of learning on the fly. After Sam's miraculous super ballsy run on 4th and 16, we did not have a call. You see that a lot in high school football where like a big play gets made, and then what do they call the next snap, Singer? Fullback dive. Just because like, okay, let's just do something. Let's just And Sam, there was 13. We were just watching it before I went live. 13, 12, 11. And then they finally get the call in from Parker. And then that was the play Estime scored on. But they did not have a call.
He didn't spike after 4th and 16?
Nope. Because I think we had one timeout at that point, and Freeman wanted to keep that timeout in his pocket to kick the field goal, if you listen to him. But I'm just saying, because Hartman was like back and forth.
This says Sam spiked 51 seconds, 39 seconds. So I think you might be misremembering that.
Okay, maybe I am.
But continue, Mike.
I think maybe I'm telling you, I just watched it. Maybe it was after the run and then it was a spike. I'm telling you, there was a time there where they were looking and then they called the play and Estime scored. But like there was a time where like they didn't. Yeah, Sam gets up immediately, takes that big hit on the run. Sam knows what's up. He's like, spike, spike, spike. I mean, he barely touched the ground. He gets back, spike. And then I'm telling you, the clock starts, the play clock starts. They still didn't have a call in. I promise.
So you're saying, okay, between the spike and the run.
Between the spike and the unintentional touchdown run, they still didn't have a call in to Sam. And you could see, he was like, dude, coach, what's up? Like, what are we calling? And then Holden Stays was standing right next to him. I'm just saying it's stuff like that where these guys are still, the coaching staff still working out the kinks.
All right. So, Kevin says it was after the spike ticket.
Thanks, Kevin. Kevin's always helpful on this podcast, it seems.
Hey, Kevin's our first moderator on our YouTube channel. It took me 3 years to figure out I could do that. So
yeah, well, all 3 of us work for free. Go figure,
All right, Ghouls. One more word from a sponsor, and then we're just going to get into Super Chats. Really appreciate you guys being patient. We just wanted to be able to talk about, some things before just doing Super Chats for, however long to make sure we hit on some of the points. So let's hear from Barb Stevenson. Folks, if you're looking for that perfect gift for the Notre Dame fan in your life, or maybe even something for yourself, we'll look no further than the beautiful artwork of Barb Stevenson. She lives near the university and has always been inspired to create pen and inks of the iconic buildings throughout the campus. In fact, she's been commissioned by the university many times to create artwork of those classic buildings to give as special gifts. And now she has a selection of 4 Notre Dame limited edition pen and ink prints she is offering to our listeners here at Blue and Gold. What makes each pen and ink print so unique and one of a kind is the hand-printed metallic gold she applies to each one. They are simply stunning. To purchase and view Barb's art, visit her website, barbstevenson.com. That's BARBSTEPHENSON.com, or give her a call, 574-210-8388. Order now and receive free shipping anywhere in the continental United States. Order today, barbstevenson.com.
Can I have two other thoughts before we jump to this. Sorry. We're 5 minutes late.
No, do it. Go ahead.
I said this to kick off the show. And dude, I love to stir the pot, right? I like to get people talking. But it's like, leave a comment. How does the fan base feel? I know we're all happy about the win. We're all elated that we won the game. But moving forward, how do you feel about the team? Are we getting better? Are we getting worse? Leave a comment. I want to read them. I'm dead ass serious. I'm curious. And then the other last thought was on the defensive side of the ball. Freeman was brought here to recruit, and he's kicking butt. Love it. You know, this KVA, Kingston, that we're getting, this stud linebacker from California. If Golden schemes are too complicated, where you can't play young players, what's the point of recruiting this young talent? You know, so like, I think we're all kind of tired of this linebacker group. It'd be nice to see some fresh blood get mixed in. Jalen Sneed played very little in this game. Well, he doesn't know the defense. It's like, okay, well, what are we doing? You got a 5-star linebacker and you can't play him because he still doesn't know the defense. That's problematic because it's counter to one another. You've got Freeman's a world-class recruiter bringing in all this elite level talent. And on the other hand, you've got an NFL guy calling plays, running a defense that these kids can't learn. It's counter. So something's got to give there. And I would drop a wink, wink, but I can't. You know, I'd wink. Something's going to give there.
All right. Let's get into it. Tom says, Mike Goolsby, please tell me what Al Golden can scheme for taking away the soft middle crossing and seam routes. That's where they have been getting gashed. Tom, really appreciate the 10.
He's tried to, I mean, you saw it in the Ohio State game. He'll drop DJ Brown down as a robber. You know, he'll be in like a too high shell, and on the snap, he just kind of drops down. He's just kind of playing center field. He's like a deep spy, Tom.
Sure.
It's like a deep spy. So that's one thing that we've seen. And then the other thing, Tom, would be stop blitzing your middle linebackers every snap. I mean, they vacate the middle of the field. Why? Because he's got them lined up. It's like he's got them walked up in that mug technique all the time. Let those guys play some coverage. I mean, that's really all you can do.
Tom, appreciate the 10, and Mark has a 10. Really appreciate it. He says, I'm officially with Goolsby. I have a love-hate relationship with Maris. Love his explosiveness and being a disruptor, but go absolutely nuts with the lack of control in the zero form tackling.
Yeah, and I heard that Maris got a stinger or something. You know, he didn't practice last week in terms of leading up to the Ohio State game. So there's maybe a built-in excuse for him in terms of trying to sling people down. You know, I played with a player, Courtney Watson, who was a Butkus finalist in 2002. He was a converted running back. He was an awesome second-round pick linebacker. And he did a lot of that. He would just grab people and throw them down. It's not ideal. You know, love him or hate him. I'm glad we have Maris because you can do so much with him. He's like a rusty Swiss Army knife, man. You can do a lot of things with him, but it's not ideal.
Appreciate the 10 there. Hank says, thoughts on Tobias, talk about oozing, looks bored. I don't know about the looks bored thing, but I'm not off the bandwagon. Like, he's still a sophomore. Like, I'm hoping like later in the season, next year, it comes around because he's talented, but it's just not working yet for clearly. I mean, the production's the production. I mean, outside of the Stanford touchdown last year and then the Central Michigan, blown coverage, it's not lived up to the expectations, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's tough. My first, in regards to Hank's question, thoughts on Tobias, my first things that comes to mind is like, what's his dad have to say? Let's check in with his dad. I know he likes to tweet, so maybe he's got some answers for us. That was my first thing. And then like beyond that, I think the kid needs time. I said in the offseason show, I said he was goofy. For lack of a better word, I thought he was goofy. Watch that PI. He pushes off, ball hits him in the chest or whatever, and then he like does this weird, like he's a goofy player. So I think he's a little still immature, but that's not like a negative thing. He just needs to kind of grow up because he does have so much talent. I do think that some of these like talking heads on the internet and even his position coach are to blame for these lofty expectations for this kid. His position coach, you can't use a wide receiver in your room and Randy Moss in the same sentence. You can't do that. You know? And then there's, like I said, there's people on the Notre Dame pundits that are like, oh, this kid's a freakazoid, and they've set these lofty goals. And I know he was a highly recruited kid, but so is Jaden Greathouse and some of these guys. So just give him time.
Yeah.
I think the amount of pressure and the expectations on him, I think, are unfair.
$5 from Chris. He said, who, if not Freeman? Mike
Can't answer that.
Chris, appreciate
We're not even talking about it. We're riding with Freeman. And I'm saying, if you love Freeman, you're gonna have to take your lumps because he's learning on the fly, and you gotta empathize with him.
Chris, appreciate the donation and the support. BC says Marcus Freeman is learning on the job, but he is willing to make changes and adapt. Brian Kelly had to have complete collapse in 2016 before he adjusted. Never really improved his recruiting. I'm all in on Marcus Freeman.
No doubt. I feel virtually the same way, BC. And I know quite a bit about, as does Singer, BK and his lack of zeal for recruiting. And Marcus Freeman can recruit, and he's going to get better at that. You saw him land Deuce Knight. I mean, that's a big get. Did we lose? He learned from the Dante Moore thing, right?
Yeah.
I think the coaching, in-game management, and stuff like that, that'll improve over time and as wisdom and age, et cetera, all that. Absolutely agree.
Folks, please hit that thumbs up if you have not done so yet. Subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. And if you are just tuning in, please mark where you were at in the show. We're at 5640. And just rewatch, go to the beginning of the show, check out anything that you have missed. Or if you're listening via podcast, hello. Hope your drive to work or home from work is doing well. BC, appreciate the 10. Chris with the 5, you said, follow up. We added Hartman to the team, but with lack of weapons on the outside, what were your genuine expectations for this squad?
How do I answer this, Mike?
I don't know. Did you have a?
Well, everybody thought that we had weapons on the outside.
What were your expectations?
They were. That's such a loaded question. It's an unintentionally loaded question. My expectations weren't as high as most people's. That's the best. That's the best thing I can say.
Okay. Chris, appreciate another very generous super chat. Lux ND says offensive play calling looks stubborn and refuses to adjust. Love needed more touches last night. Estimates game was locked down often. Get Love in space.
I agree. And I think fans love to throw around the term adjustments. We didn't make adjustments, but nobody really knows what you would do to adjust. But yeah, the inside running game wasn't working. I totally agree. You got to get Love involved. You have to run some play action stuff. But play action doesn't work unless you've got the run game working. So just give it time. And then the other thing about the Love needs to play more. I've said for several weeks now that Love is the most talented back. I mean, he is. He's special. He's different. He's better than Jadarian Price. And the kid that we get coming in next year. His name's escaping me.
Adrian Young?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good. Those kids are different. And I'm not taking anything away from JD Price. He's special too. And they're all special in their own way. But there's only so many snaps to go around, folks. There's 60 snaps on offense. You're going to throw the ball, 30 times a game. It's well, Love needs 15 touches. It's okay, well, then we're going to throw the ball 20 times a game and just run it 40. You got to think holistically.
That's exactly right. Ever since Chris Tyree got to Notre Dame, people give him he needs to touch the ball 10, 15 times a game. I'm who you taking the ball from?
And we're not playing a triple overtime game, right? Yeah. But no, I agree. I mean, we do need to adjust. At some point, you're going to have to figure out a way to manufacture points, and that's why these guys make the big bucks.
Just ND Gal says, worst fact last night from among many, Freeman intended to run out, clock, and kick field goals, not trying for TD at all. Told Audric he should have fallen down. That was a very weird thing, Mike. We talked about that earlier. And I talked about it with Tim last night. I really disagree with Freeman. Maybe tomorrow in his press conference, he kind of clarifies what he was trying to say there, but that was weird. No, you don't put it in your kickers. I don't care if it's a 19-yard field goal from down the middle. You score a touchdown. You take it. Yeah. Or if it's even fall down at the one so he can waste more time and then run it in. There's 30 seconds left. How much more time do you need to wait? Just weird. Weird.
Well, it's like, that was weird. It's a weird post-game comment. And like the comment last week after like the 10-man, like we didn't want to run somebody out because we didn't want to take the penalty. There's just like a couple. And again, this just goes back to like him learning on the fly. And I think Holly Rowe talked to him directly on the field. He was like, yeah, we wanted to kick the field goal. I think all of us disagree. It was odd, but he's your head coach. It's not what I would have done.
Connor says Coach Freeman never gets asked difficult questions. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys want to ask him, Freeman? Why do you suck? Like, I don't know. What do you want these guys to say? Like,
I know what Connor's saying.
Tyler asks our Tyler Horka asked Freeman twice about like the 10-man thing. Freeman answered it, and then he asked Monday press conference for him to clarify. Like they asked the questions, but like it's not like us media guys. Like we understand. Like you and Tim are like, oh, you guys, why don't you guys ask Coach Golden this question? They do. Sometimes you guys don't read. That's part of it. Sometimes you guys don't read the answers. And the other times the coaches get asked things and then they just give coach speak. They don't really answer the question anyways. So that's two. That's my two thoughts.
My interpretation of what Connor's saying, it's like, again, I think at times, I think that Sam Hartman's treated with kid gloves. And I think at times Coach Freeman's treated with kid gloves, if you know that expression, Mike. I don't think he's been held to the fire yet. And I think,
okay,
let him cook. Let him cook. Leave him alone. He's still learning.
I'm saying questions in the literal press conference sense. You're just kind of talking generically. That's what, like people need to ask this guy some questions.
Connor, quit your job and come work for Blue and Gold, dude.
Yeah, come on, Connor. You look like a good looking guy. Come on.
You don't need to be good looking to work here, Mike. What are we talking about?
What'd you say, Ghouls?
I said, you're like, oh, you're a good looking guy. You'd fit right in. I'm like, we don't, none of us are good looking over here. Give me a break.
I mean, but look at you with that stash.
Anyways, all right. Parker had 2 rough weeks against Knowles and Elko, which is understandable. 2 of the best defensive minds in the biz. Yeah, for sure. Again, this is his first time calling plays. His first time calling plays without a full arsenal.
I need to look up the calling the plays thing because I feel like he has called plays.
When he was at West Virginia, he called the red zone offense at West Virginia. He was like an assistant or an associate offensive coordinator, is my understanding.
Yeah. It's just
so he's not a full-time play caller.
Yeah. When I get on these shows, been doing these for years, I do 4 shows a week. The 3 most common things I see are people want to blame the refs, get on the announcers, and yell at the offensive coordinator. So I have a hard, I roll my eyes a lot of times and people just blame the offensive coordinator. No one was talking about Parker when it was flying, and now it's not, and it's just Parker's a bomb. Like, you got to calm down a little bit.
No, for sure. And it's, it's interesting. It's just like, this is the whole conversation about Hartman, and like, is this what we brought him in here for? I think it's a totally fair conversation, and I think anybody should ask themselves that. Yeah. If with Parker's relative inexperience, compared to an Elko or a Jim Knowles, like does Sam's experience, his actual experience, does that like help offset that? I think that's a fun conversation to have. You would think, and then, the execution hasn't been there the last couple of weeks.
How about a 50 bomb from JP? He says, no question, just wanted to say thanks to the GOATs of Mike and Mike pairings. I may not always agree with either of your takes, but I'm glad you're here to share them. Thank you, JP, for the 50 bomb. Very, very kind.
Absolutely, man. And in regards to the takes, like, discourse is fun. I mean,
parroting's not fun, Mike. Just.
Well, yeah. Well, I like this isn't going to be confirmation bias, and Singer knows this. Like, I put a fair amount of thought into I'm trying to come up with talking points that nobody else is saying. And I kind of take pride on that. In that, I do, and maybe that's why people watch. I'm trying to what's a unique thought that nobody else has, and then it creates a little bit of conversation and it pisses some people off. As long as you hit that like button and keep coming back, it's all good, baby. So thanks,
Listen,
JP.
if Skip Bayless can become a media icon, and listen, he
Oh, good
is,
God.
then we're fine. I'm not too worried about us. And
Yeah.
JP, really appreciate the very generous super chat. Chris dropped in a 20 bomb. Says need to get Tyree more involved in screenplays if they can't run the ball. Can't sell play action when they can't run. Need to stretch the field. Your thoughts. Love the show and love you guys. Chris, love you too. Thank you. Yeah, did they even like I'm trying to think play action last night, man. I don't
No, you don't see a lot of play. You don't see a lot of play action.
okay.
And we start out the season with Sam under center. You don't see that as much anymore. Yeah, we need to push the ball deep, and there needs to be screen plays. I don't know if how athletic is Blake Fisher to get out in space on a screen? How athletic is Rocco Spindler? Like, you think about that screenplay we tried to set up at the tail end of that Ohio State game. That took for damn near forever. And Sam didn't throw a great ball, just enough touch. Didn't have just enough touch. But these are college kids too, Chris. These coaches get 20 hours a week with them. So it's like when you're in the season, into the season, this stuff's been installed during camp and during spring, like it's been installed. But then you sit there, it's like, okay, if I'm going to have the stones to call this screenplay at any given point in time, I hope that they practiced it or, rep that out enough times to give you the confidence. So that's another thing that fans need to take into perspective. Like, this isn't the NFL. They don't have unlimited time with these kids,
All right.
But I agree.
Yeah. All right. We got 8 minutes left, Mike. You ready to go rapid fire here?
Hit it.
All right. Hank, $2 says.
I thought I was going rapid fire. Anyway, sorry.
Maybe not for you. Or maybe for you, I should say. But we'll continue on. Hank says, Goolsby, your boy, leaf out with the fumble recovery.
Amen. Not the most difficult thing in the world to do, but I'd love to see it.
Apparently it has been for Notre Dame, but yeah, glad to see it. Came up in a
great play by Cross. Players making plays, steps up. Sorry the kid got hurt. It sucks. But again, Cross is like, enough of this bullshit. I'm ending it.
Yeah.
Love
Garth, very generous $20 super chat. Appreciate this. He says, couple of things. Great show, guys. First thing, they need to look to line up under center when Audric is in the game to get his momentum going. Second, they need to rotate linebackers the way they do the defensive line to keep the linebackers fresh. Do you agree here, Mike?
Garth, always love to see you. I'm going to work backwards to front. You're not going to see linebackers rotate, Garth, because back to this is Golden scheme is too complex. You can't stick somebody without 3 years of starting experience in there to run it. And I'm saying that kind of tongue in cheek, but it's true. They don't trust them. And I agree with going under center. I think playing linebacker, I think it's more difficult to stop the run when a quarterback's under center than it is in shotgun, personally. And we saw that early in the season, and we've gone away from it. So I agree on both accords.
All right. Just so you guys know, if you're going to just troll the chat and flame it with whatever it takes, and I'm just not going to deal with it. So, Rick, $5. He says, "Is it ironic that we won because Duke pressures all game, then decides to rush 3 on 4th and 16, allowing Hartman to run for the first down?" I do believe that's the definition of irony. Maybe I don't know.
It wasn't lost on me. It's like it's mowing the lawn, and I'm just like mowing the lawn. I was like, man. Have we learned not to play like prevent defense? Like last 2 weeks, if casual football fans, like, yeah, you don't call that, in those high stakes kind of closeout moments.
Yeah. Rick, appreciate the super chat. B Huggins, or for B Huggins, Hartman is not to blame for the whole offensive struggles. I'd rather have him quarterback this team than about any other college football quarterback other than Caleb Williams. He's definitely in the top 5, top 10 for sure. Of quarterbacks in college football, and I think that's something that Mikey needs to remember. That
so this is the thing about what's it's frustrating and it's fascinating about doing this silly show that I do. It's like, did I ever at any point did I say that he was to blame for the whole offensive struggle? Did I ever say that? I don't even think I said anything close to that. I said, this isn't what you brought him in here to do, to go 3 for 15. I never said that he was the sole reason the offense struggled. I didn't say that. I said, you didn't bring him in here to go 3 for 15.
Okay.
You don't have the receivers, the offensive line's leaky. But again, this isn't what B Huggins, this isn't what anybody trolling in the chat this isn't what you paid to see. This isn't what you thought you were going to get. It's not.
Nonetheless,
so you'd rather have him on this team than any other quarterback? I would disagree.
Yeah.
I would strongly disagree.
Some good quarterbacks in the country, but Hartman's definitely up there. $10 from Mike Nolan. 4B Huggins, really appreciate the $5 donation. Mike Nolan with the 10 says, was offense sluggish due to receivers not open or limited scheme, passes to backs, etc. Also, why did D become so less strong versus run game as the game went
on? Was offense okay? It's a back door to this super chat thing. Asked 3 questions in one. I've been saying it since the offseason, but nobody listens. Our wide receivers aren't that great. I would play catch coverage. Like I'd play off man, kind of catch technique against the receivers. There's no threat to blow by anybody, so you could sit on everything. And you see Sam watch. I mean, he'll go through his progressions. Nobody's open. So it could be the scheme, but to me, it's a talent thing where those guys just don't have the ability to get open. And how many jump balls have we seen this year? Any? Like where somebody goes up and makes a play on a ball, you just don't see it. Passes to backs, etc. He's leaving them. Like this week, they left the backs into pass protect. Why did the D become so less strong versus run game? As it just, that's adjustments. You got to watch the show, Mike. But it's like we blitz people all the time, and all it takes is just like you. Sometimes you don't want to run blitz. You don't want to blitz against a run because you can just get knocked off, and then that's where you get gashed. So that's on Golden's scheme. He can't make up new blitzes at halftime, whereas Duke can implement a new running scheme or a new running play that they hadn't shown in the first half.
Hank with 10 says Davey, Tyron Willingham, Weiss, Eagles program spiral. BK made Notre Dame relevant. Freeman will get them to where where the fans want Notre Dame to go. Goolsby want backers to cover, get more pass rushers.
Yeah, again, Brian Kelly, not a likable guy, but he was good for the program. I mean, You look at it, put that back up real quick. Sorry, Mike. He was good for the program as much as you dislike him. But yes, the backers, they get blitzed a lot, and it's not their fault. And yes, I'd love to see them do something else other than trying to slip through all the time.
Yeah, I already removed it.
And that would take away that middle of the field. Somebody asked earlier. Help with it anyway.
Hank, appreciate it. Joseph Quayle, who's the best team in the country? Can we beat them?
I don't think we know yet.
Yeah, it's pretty wide open. This would have been a great year for Notre Dame to stay undefeated because it's pretty wide open. Yeah.
But there's a lot of parity in college football, which makes it fun. A lot of that's due to the transfer portal, but I don't know we're a top 10-ish team. I think that's accurate.
Andy Davis is Howard Cross III is an All-American. He's got bar fight strength and violence.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that he's getting his day in the sun. I really am.
Yeah, stuck it out, playing well. Love it. Andy Nation with the 2 says, is Parker more vanilla than Reese? Yes or no, Mike?
It's very similar.
Okay. Gordon Butler with 5 says, fall down at the 1 might be strategy if you're already winning. Never if you are currently losing. Boom. I completely agree with that.
Well said. Yeah. Well said, Gordon. Yeah, it was a strange comment by Freeman. I almost felt bad for him when he said it on the field, the Holly Road post. I was like, oh, God, did he mean to say that?
Yeah. I think a lot of times Freeman doesn't really filter it through sometimes, and I like it. But
which is endearing, yeah, dude. Nor do I.
I
don't even know what I say on these shows until I watch it back sometimes. Like, what are people so upset about?
I've never watched one of our shows back in 3 years.
But you're too busy.
Well, also, I'm like, I can't believe anyone listens to me. Sometimes when I have to add mid-rolls to the YouTube or do the ads for the podcast and or add them after the fact, and like, dude, I don't know why anyone would ever listen to me. So, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, yeah, I don't know why either, Singer. But hey, you're an hour 14 in. So anyways, John Smith says, what's the rest of the season outlook? Great show. USC, Clemson, Louisville's kind of the 3 biggest games.
Mm-hmm.
I think
it's a real test.
It is.
It's a real test to go on the road for another night game at Louisville after 2 consecutive down to the wire.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild, dude. I mean,
with USC next weekend, It's tough.
It's really tough. I mean, and that's why in this scenario coming off the Ohio State, you're happy to get the win, but it's just it just feels like, gosh, man, it just feels like every snap counts so much more now. Like it's just everything matters so much more. And it's just one game at a time, which is what Coach Freeman's been preaching all year. And I'm going to echo that.
Yeah. Appreciate that, John. Chris says, just to clarify my initial question, I'm all in on Mark Truman, but the first 30 minutes felt like Goolsby might have had doubts. I really enjoyed the dynamic between you two. So please keep up the great work. Chris, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, thanks, Chris, for the clarification, but I absolutely have doubts. I do. I'm just trying to look at it objectively, and I'd like to see the offense perform better. We all would. F me, right? I'm the asshole. But Hartman's a part of that. Hartman's a big part of that. And with all the experience, I mean, this isn't what we signed up for. None of us did.
Yeah.
It'll get better.
Yeah. Chris, thanks for the 10. Hank says, simplify the defense and please unleash Snead.
I've been saying that, yeah. I mean, if you all they've asked Snead to do this year is run up field. He's that edge guy in that Aztec position. You can pluck Maris out and put Snead in there. And I called for that during the offseason. I was like, why not turn him? Why not use him in that Micah Parsons role? People forget Micah Parsons was a first-round pick as an inside linebacker.
Yeah.
And then they put his hand in the dirt, and then he's like a Hall of Famer now.
Yeah.
But I agree.
Hank, appreciate it too.
That's not Golden's DNA to simplify things. Just not.
And I think a great way to wrap up the show, Susan says, I really disagree with a lot of what Ghouls has said, but damn, you guys are great, and I love you both. Well, Susan, I think that is very kind.
Real quick, because we love Susan.
We do. So be careful.
What's to disagree with? Like,
I know everything you
so
say.
My messaging, Susan, watch the chat. I mean, my messaging is like, this isn't what you signed up for, what you thought the offense was going to be. Did people think the offense was going to be 3 for 15 on third downs? I don't understand what the disconnect is. Help me, Mike. Help me.
Okay. I think I can. And I love good metaphors. This might not be a great one, but it's like, I don't know why I keep going, this is where I'm going in my head, but it's like going to a kid's baseball game. Like, why is this kid not getting on base? And I'm just going to yell at the kid. Like, kid, what are you doing? Get on base. Like, I was like, all right, guy. Like, yes, he should be hitting singles and hitting doubles, but he's not. But like, is that really the stance you're going to take? You're just going to come in here and yell at a kid's baseball game? Again, not a great one, but
who's the kid? Is it Parker? Is it the offense? Is it Hartman?
It's
in this scenario, who's the kid that you're using?
That would be a better question for Susan.
You are such. So you're saying you're trying to paint a picture, and that, like, okay,
I think in this scenario, I think it's Hartman, because you are critical on Hartman.
I'm critical on any Notre Dame
and have been all year.
Well, people love when you were critical. People love to be critical of Drew Pine. People love to be critical of Ian Book. People love to be critical of Tyler Buckner. But why can't you be critical of the one that comes in that's making money to be here, who has 10 times the amount of experience as any of the quarterbacks I previously mentioned? I don't understand that.
I don't know. I just think after this game, like, I'm not talking about Sam Hartman. It's a talking point. He should have been better, but it's not like we're going to really land on that.
And I'm not making 8-year-olds cry. I mean, he's a 24-year-old quarterback.
I know,
who knows he should have played better.
I said that it wasn't a great... Guys, we're done with Super Chats. Please don't post any more Super Chats. Please stop. Please stop. But yeah, Mike, I was just kind of like, it was not my perfect metaphor, but...
No, I get it. I get it. No, I'm just saying that's the question to the group. Leave the answer in the comments. Like, I told you, Mike, going into the season, this was going to be interesting. I looked forward to seeing if Sam didn't play well, what would the fan response be? I'm curious. Like, are you optimistic? Are you concerned? Are you worried? Am I out of my mind?
No.
But I'm just sitting there going, like, I don't think that this is what the idea was. And whether that's Parker's fault, that's the offensive line's fault, it's Sam's fault. This isn't what all the comments and all the message board stuff that I read, that Sam was going to light the world on fire. The last 2 games, we haven't.
Yeah. Folks, please start reading the pinned comments on YouTube because I was like, guys, we're signing off. I know other shows will go 3-4 hours. We've done that before, but we've got time constraints. Like we're running a business. Like we have certain things that just listen to me. That's all I'm saying. Penley, appreciate the super chat. Who's the idiot who scheduled all these night games? It's emotional drain on the team. Asked the Notre Dame athletic director, Connor, why doesn't Coach Freeman just take over the defense after move on from Coach Golden? He can play it simpler. I've actually said, I've threw that out as a thought that Notre Dame might do.
You get credit for that. You did.
So, all right. Goolsby, you brought it today. Great show. Great show.
Hey.
And we'll be back.
I got to watch it back and figure out what I said. But yeah, it was fun either way.
All right, and we'll be back this upcoming Sunday, and of course we'll have plenty of shows throughout the week. So lock in on our Blue and Gold YouTube channel right here. Appreciate you folks, and as always, we will catch you next time.